Federal Executive Council approves establishment of National ICT Park.
It's going to be a turning point in the creative industry in the sense that we are going to have a brand new national theatre.
Federal government approves rehabilitation of National Theatre at Igomo in Lagos.
Senate calls on security agencies to reorganize Nigeria's security architecture.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss the $2 billion Kano, Katsina, Jibia, and Maradi rail line project.
When the first railway in Nigeria was opened in 1819, with a distance of about 96 kilometers between Lagos and Abeokuta in the early part of the 21st century, lines were very run down and underutilized. Rehabilitation of existing lines and construction of new ones has since taken place and is ongoing.
Well, you're right, Juma. In 2014, a contract was signed for the construction of a new standard gauge rail line serving the coastal areas between Lagos and Calabar. Another was also signed for the construction of a commuter rail network in Ogun State. Funding was equally approved for the 305-kilometer standard gauge rail line from Kaduna to Kano. Exactly, and the transportation sector was really getting a boost as it became a priority of the current administration. In 2019, another contract was signed for 200-kilometer standard gauge railway from Abuja, linking with the existing line to Warri and Itakpe. The project also included a 50-kilometer branch to Lokoja and an extension from the existing terminus at Warri to the port. Well, the list goes on and on. And to our focus for today, last year funding was approved for a new standard gauge line from Kano to Maradi in Niger Republic. Now the distance is almost 250 kilometers. Now let me also add that there are contracts for the rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri line, which is the old gauge that we have, and that's over 1,000 kilometers in length. And that's right, Kingsley. I'm also aware that the work will include several branches and an interchange with the standard gauge network at Kafanchan. Kingsley, let me ask you a question. When last did you ride on a train, and what was the experience like here? Well, the last time, seriously, was outside the country, and it was very pleasant, very pleasant. It was actually between two countries. But here in Nigeria, the last train ride was from Abuja to Kaduna and back to Abuja. That was sometime in 2016, just before the former flag off of commercial services on that axis. Okay. We had a crew of Good Morning Nigeria on that trip. It was a return trip, and it was very pleasant. You know,
it was organized.
It was organized from Idu train station right up to Rigasa. So it was very pleasant. But certainly, when you have train rides in advanced countries, it's a pleasant experience. That is for passenger traffic. You also, of course, find the spectacle very, very interesting when you see cargo being hauled by train. So you just look at the coaches as they are flying past, sometimes up to 100. You know, and you just it's an amazing experience. Yes, the last one I said I had was a 9-hour trip between two countries, and it was pleasant. Pleasant indeed.
Well, the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, at a lecture he delivered at the University of Port Harcourt recently said President Buhari's transportation development plans will open vast opportunities to Nigerians and serve as a bedrock to unlocking the country's economic potentials.
Well, Jumai, now talking about the Kano-Maradi rail line, which is connecting Nigeria and the Niger Republic, President Buhari is optimistic that it will foster trans-Sahara trade and contribute to the expected gains in the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
Yes, Kingsley, we all watched the groundbreaking ceremony of the Kano, Katsina, Jibia, Maradi rail line, where the president participated virtually.
Now, according to the president, the vital infrastructural line will establish an end-to-end logistics supply chain in rail transport services, and that will be between the northern and southern regions of the country, reaching the Nigerian southern ports of Lagos and Warri.
Indeed, it is a huge project and expectations are high, especially on the economic benefits. Nigerians look forward to the timely completion of this project.
Well, we'll have guests who will be joining us to discuss issues surrounding the rail project and bringing in more insight and information on the magnitude, implications, and anticipated gains of the Kano-Maradi rail line project. It's Good Morning Nigeria, and we welcome you to the program. My name is Kingsley Osadolo.
And I am Juma Yusuf. We're on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you live. As usual, we have our complimentary segments, including the newspaper review, business, and others. But first, let's join Dennis Adegunloye for the morning news. Good morning, Dennis. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, Jume. Good morning to you, and good morning, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. The Federal Executive Council has approved the establishment of the National Information and Communications Technology Park in Abuja, the nation's capital. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Pantami, disclosed this while briefing journalists after the council's meeting.
And the wisdom behind National ICT Park is to be a center where all other public and private ICT hubs and centers are going to be coordinated by the federal government of Nigeria, where we identify our young innovators with crazy and disruptive ideas. We mentor them. Government will provide the necessary support they need. We provide the enabling environment for them to come and utilize, and if they come up with any startup, they can be supported by the federal government of Nigeria.
And the federal government has approved the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Central Bank of Nigeria Bankers Committee for the rehabilitation and revitalization of the National Theatre Iganmu, Lagos. Also approved is the sum of 9.04 billion naira for the completion of the digital switchover project. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed announced these approvals at a media briefing after a meeting of the Federal Executive Council.
It's going to be a turning point in the creative industry in the sense that we are going to have a brand new national theater at completion. It will now become the #1 event center in Africa, and this is going to boost the creative industry, Nollywood, music, arts and fashion.
Less than a month of changing Nigeria's service chiefs, the Senate has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to direct the National Security Advisor, the newly nominated service chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police to reorganize Nigeria's security architecture.
Urge the federal government to adequately equip the Nigerian Immigration Services, NIS, and the Nigerian Customs Services, NCS, to police and monitor our borders using modern technology.
A terrible issue that you can no longer travel from one part of this country to the other without thinking of how to protect yourself.
We would have declared insecurity a national emergency.
We should be as exhaustive and as critical as possible when we screen the service chiefs.
Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State is suggesting that if herders in the state register with their host communities, there will be proper records. This is even as he wants all farmers and herders in the state to collaborate with the government and security agencies to fish out criminals terrorizing the state. The governor expressed these views when he met with community leaders, farmers and herders in Ovia Northeast and Ovia Northwest local government councils.
You are not against the presence of anybody who wants to come and do business here. Whether they want to come and herd their cattle or they want to do other forms of business, you are not against them. You are only saying that if they have to come here and graze, they must do it legally and lawfully. So therefore, we are going to undertake an operation where we vacate anybody who is not supposed to be in the forest.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has seized 40 parcels of cocaine worth over 32 billion naira, with 2 suspects arrested at the Tinkan port in Lagos. The substance, weighing over 43.1 kilograms, was impounded by operatives of the agency following a tip-off.
This is something that we've been monitoring for quite some time, and eventually we got hold of this exhibit. And the total street value of what we have here is about 32 billion naira.
The running cost of governance in Nigeria, going by the huge appropriation to recurrent expenditure yearly, has made it difficult for government to meet its obligations. Speaker House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, on resumption of legislative business on Wednesday, called for reforms to address what he calls imposition of permanent liability to government. And the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 1,131 new cases of COVID-19 in 21 states and the FCT. Lagos State is leading with 297 new cases, followed by the FCT with 194, followed by Kaduna recording 83. Kano records 59 new cases, Oyo 58, Taraba 53, Imo 52, Osun 47, Plateau 45, Edo 43, Akwa Ibom and Rivers 42 each, Ogun 29, Kwara 24. Others are Benue with 21, Nasarawa 16, Ekiti 7, Bauchi and Delta 6 cases each, Bayelsa 4, Sokoto 2, and Gombe records a single case. With this, Nigeria has 142,578 confirmed cases of COVID-19, out of which 116,947 have been treated and discharged, as the death toll now stands at 1,702. Well, that concludes the morning news on Good Morning Nigeria. The program continues shortly with Kingsley and Jume after this break. Good morning.
My dear party members, there comes a time when all good people must not only speak, but rise up and get involved in the task of improving their society. The need has never been greater than now for all Nigerians to actively contribute to the all-important task of nation building by bringing about good leadership and governance. For most citizens, their greatest weapon is their vote. Register now for your party and register when the time comes for elections. Political parties are the main vehicles under our laws through which citizens can participate in the ideals and practices of our democracy. As we have seen happening around the world, good citizens join political parties and use them to bring about the changes they desire. I am therefore endorsing the nationwide membership registration and the revalidation exercise embarked upon by our party, the All Progressive Congress. I call on patriotic Nigerians to come out during the exercise, which starts on the 26th of January, and avail themselves of the opportunity to join the APC. Thank you, and may God bless our country.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher yo mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher yo mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebona na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
It's called Oja Village. We no happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders. Hey, we are trying, shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of family.
In my house, we may look alike, but we are very different individuals. My adorable twins, they look so alike, but they don't like wearing the same things. And my little man, I had to find out the hard way because I've been trying to teach him my way. He loves to learn his own way because doing things his way is more fulfilling. Everybody believes their way is best. That's why Golden Penny Pasta is our favorite meal because due to its non-stickiness, it allows me to satisfy everybody just the way they want it.
Golden Penny Pasta, made with durum wheat, is tasty, nutritious, a source of protein and fiber, and non-sticky. So you can cook, serve, and eat your pasta just the way you like it. Go on and enjoy your Golden Penny Pasta the way you want it. With Golden Penny Pasta, your way is best.
Burnley is taking maximum points in their last two matches against Crystal Palace. Will they make it a hat-trick of victories when both teams square off at Selhurst Park this Saturday? Find out in Crystal Palace versus Burnley on the Premier League Live, showing on the NTA network from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up in association with Gold.com.
You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria, and we are live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. It's time for business news with the Federal Executive Council approving the new medium-term debt management strategy for the country. Let's listen into the details from our correspondent, Comfort Amodu.
The Federal Executive Council at its meeting Wednesday approved the new medium-term debt management strategy for Nigeria, covering the period of 2020 to 2023. Considering the current public debt stock, the new medium-term debt strategy targets borrowing from the domestic and external sources with a larger quantity of new borrowing from domestic sources, using long-term instruments, while for external borrowing, concessional funding from multilateral and bilateral sources will be prioritized. The medium-term debt management strategy is a policy document that provides a guide to the borrowing activities of a government in the medium term within 4 years. Meanwhile, the National Action Committee on African Continental Free Trade Area has inaugurated a nationwide awareness and sensitization tour to prepare Nigeria in taking advantage of the AfCFTA agreement while mitigating its threats to the economy. A statement by the communication coordinator of the committee, Zachary Jumeta, said the awareness tour commenced from Kaduna to Bauchi State and all other 34 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. And here are the closing figures from the Nigerian Stock Exchange. With business news, Comfort Amodu.
Many thanks. banks conform